Now at 9, a new gallery in Joplin is honoring local veterans at the Spiva Center for the Arts. Plus, the Freeman NICU reunion is bringing families and caregivers back together. And a Cold War relic with a new price tag.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Anthony Saviello. A man has been pronounced deceased after being struck by a train in Anderson, Missouri. Reports of a train striking a pedestrian alerted authorities at approximately 4:30 a.m. this morning. The rail crossing is marked as private, and the crossing is over private property. It is a plain crossbuck, no lights, bells, or arms. Anderson police are investigating the death of an adult male struck by the train, and the next of kin have been notified. The train switched crews and then continued north at about 7:20 a.m. this morning. For more updates on this story, go to our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Let's go ahead and check in with meteorologist Lindsay Gaffney for a first look at our weather.
Well, today temperatures got up to the low 80s. Now we had temperatures this morning. We're down in the low 50s, so overall it was still a little cooler than average so far today. Now you can see these temperatures are slowly creeping back down into the mid 60s right now. As we get a little bit further into the night, we're going to see those dropping down to mid to upper 50s, so a little warmer than last night, but still a crisp, cool start to our Monday. Now you can see we've got quite a bit of clouds moving into the area. They do clear for a brief moment in the morning, but we actually have storms that are going to be potentially moving in late Monday, a couple of isolated chances, and early into Tuesday, as you can see overnight. So we're going to keep an eye on those, but overall, the rest of the forecast period, we're going to be focusing on the warmer temperatures. I'm going to have those details coming up.
Lindsay, thanks. The Spiva Center for the Arts is unveiling a gallery this evening. The gallery, titled The Freedom Endeavor, features portraits of local veterans holding pictures of themselves when they were serving in the military. Officials from the exhibit say the gallery is a way to remember history and those who fought for our freedoms.
Each one of the tags that are next to each veteran has a QR code. Each veteran was also interviewed, and so you can listen to those interviews. So as you're walking around, you can actually hear the voices and the stories of these people and what they experienced.
The exhibit is now open to the public. A reception will take place for the exhibit on the evening of September 10th. Families and caregivers are coming together today at the Freeman NICU reunion at the Joplin Elks Lodge. The event, hosted by Children's Miracle Network Hospitals, brings together former NICU patients from newborns to teens and the staff who cared for them. Kids can enjoy activities like face painting, cupcake decorating, and outdoor games, all part of this year's fairy tale themed celebration. Freeman's 24-bed NICU is the only one of its kind in the area, providing specialized care for premature and critically ill infants.
I think it means a great deal to the families to be able to come and hang out with the other families that also were in the same situations as them, and they can kind of relate off of their situations and just create new friendships out of that.
The reunion is a chance to celebrate survival, growth, and the bonds formed in those first critical days of life. A Cold War-era missile silo is up for sale in Kansas and could be yours, but it's going to cost more than $1 million. Zach Summers takes a look at the unique property and its history.
Hidden beneath the rolling hills of central Kansas,
it's an insane property.
Is a property steeped in mystery.
It's very much off the grid.
And rich in Cold War history.
So this room is called the entrapment zone.
Once designed to fend off a nuclear attack, this decommissioned Atlas F missile silo is now for sale.
My favorite feature is probably either the missile silo itself. I also think that this is really cool, just going through a tunnel, and it almost seems like you're on a mission.
Tara Martin is the listing agent for the 8.5-acre property in Lincoln. The asking price, $1.3 million.
The equivalent to what they built it for in today's dollars is now $190 million.
Step inside the underground fortress and there's a noticeable drop in temperature.
It ranges from 54 to 62 degrees consistently.
Inside, 2,500 square feet of usable space in what was once a control room and living quarters, all of which have been freshly painted.
Over in this area, there was a kitchen, bedrooms, and everything was walled off.
Behind this 2-ton carbon steel door is the real showstopper of this property, an 18-story missile silo. Still left behind are the brackets that held up the flooring surrounding the missile.
40 feet up, 140 feet down. A dream for thrill seekers. A nightmare for anyone afraid of heights.
You could do a man cave, you could grow mushrooms, it could be a wine cellar. It's a very specific type of buyer, somebody that just has a lot of imagination.
And perhaps a liking to history.
This is actually one of the original doors.
Built in the early 1960s as a response to Soviet nuclear threats, the Atlas F was the most advanced in the U.S. Air Force's arsenal at the time. It stood vertically, armed with a warhead more than 250 times more powerful than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima.
Nominally, it was supposed to take about 15 minutes after a launch command was received for it to be ready to launch.
John Gilbert is a retired Air Force colonel who worked in a similar Kansas facility in the 60s.
It was isolated. It was noisy. Things tended to smell bad. It was not a real pleasant place.
The Lincoln site was one of 12 in Kansas alone, chosen for its inland location, yet close enough to reach targets in the Soviet Union.
And another reason, there was a lot of vacant land where people didn't live.
To buyers, Colonel Gilbert says,
they'll end up owning a unicorn.
A Cold War relic turned conversation piece with a future as bold as its past.
It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, in my opinion.
Still ahead on the KOAM News at 9, high school hazing is making headlines again. This time, all around the country, we'll show you how these dangerous trends are evolving. Across the country, people are heading back to school. It's an exciting time for families, but also comes with a potential risk of hazing. Experts warn that hazing acts are becoming more violent and more physical. Lee Waldman in New York tells us what families and young people need to be on the lookout for.
Last spring, high school lacrosse players in Syracuse, New York made headlines after they were accused of being involved in a hazing incident. 11 team members faced criminal charges after they allegedly staged a kidnapping of 5 younger players.
For these students who made this horrible mistake, this is a real life lesson. The fact that they're a spotlight nationally right now because of their stupidity.
Pietro Sasso, an associate professor at Delaware State University, studies hazing, which he says often extends from high school through college. Hazing is an activity that humiliates, degrades, abuses, or endangers an individual seeking to join a group, according to advocacy group Stop Hazing.
Hazing is becoming more violent and more physical. And we're seeing the use of illegal drugs in hazing.
Sasso says another emerging trend in hazing is the use of social media for harassment.
What used to happen is you could avoid hazing and take a break while you weren't participating in that group. Now you can't.
So how do you stop it? Well, Sasso says the answer is as complicated as the problem itself.
Because hazing behaviors are constantly shifting, it's like you're trying to hit a moving target.
He explains it's important to address hazing head-on when students are younger.
It's almost like a contagion that you want to control.
Well, the Food and Drug Administration wants to see nicotine pouch manufacturers use child-resistant packaging on their products. This comes as a rise in nicotine pouch exposure cases has been reported among young children, with some causing nicotine poisoning. The FDA noted it has authorized 20 nicotine pouch products, all of which use child-resistant packaging, but some others without FDA authorization do not have that type of packaging. The FDA says from April 2022 through March of 2025, the number of reported nicotine pouch exposure cases steadily climbed. About 72% were in children younger than 5. A new federal health report could spark controversy. According to the Wall Street Journal, an upcoming Department of Health and Human Services report may link autism to Tylenol use during pregnancy and low folate levels. The report is also expected to name folinic acid, a form of folate, as a way to ease autism symptoms in some patients. Tylenol maker Kenvue rejects any connection. Top doctors agree, saying acetaminophen is still safe for pregnant patients when used properly. Autism rates have risen in the U.S. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention reports 1 in 31 children are diagnosed by age 8 in 2022. Lindsay is next with a complete look at your forecast, and later, California wine faces big challenges, but vintners see opportunity.
We do have the chance to see some potential rain tomorrow, and go ahead and take a look at our tomorrow planner. Temperatures reaching the low 80s, about 81, 82. We have increasing clouds in the afternoon, and isolated shower chances are possible later in the day. Now, we're already seeing a few clouds moving in tonight. These are going to break apart by early morning. You can see by 4, 5, 6 a.m. A lot more clear skies, but temperatures are going to be dropping down into the mid 50s. So we do have another cooler night for us. Now you can see downtown Joplin from the Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex. So far tonight, not much is going on, but again, we want to watch out for some potential afternoon showers tomorrow. So here we are. We see all those clouds clearing out of the area. By 5 a.m., we get to see some sunshine returning, but then taking a look just outside of our area, here we are, 8 a.m., a lot of sunshine, clouds start to push in, and then we have a band of rain moving just into our area, our northwestern counties. This is moving into southeastern Kansas first by mid-morning. Now, a lot of this is not going to be really affecting most of us because as it does move in, we could see some drizzle, but not a lot of rain accumulation. So by 2 in the afternoon, just south of V8 Center might be getting maybe 1/10 of an inch of rain per hour, but again, not a lot. Now, all this will continue to push in, but by this point, all of these little light green areas, the shaded areas, are going to be barely dropping any rain, if anything, a drizzle. So like I said, not seeing a lot of accumulation, maybe a bit more in southeastern Kansas, and then in northern parts of our area, we have this little potential for a couple of those storms, but this is going to be again late in the evening on Monday and into Tuesday. Now, I want to show the rain tracker because like I said, we're not going to see a lot of accumulation in our area. So a few of us might get 1/10 of an inch as we head through the evening, but then we could also see those isolated storms in our northern counties late Monday night. But then after we move through our maybe a little dreary Monday, we have temperatures warming up from 81, 83 on Tuesday, 86 on Wednesday, and then even getting into the 90s by the second half of the work week. So we could see 91 on Thursday, 91 on Friday, 92 on Saturday, and that is well above average for this time of year. Normally we're sitting in the mid 60s, so Wednesday is going to be a pretty average day for us. But again, summertime temperatures return to us. We've actually seen pretty summertime conditions for most of the week. As that high pressure system sits over us. We get that dry spell. We also get those warmer temperatures, and that's going to be the main story all the way through the beginning of next week.
All right. Well, at least it's not too hot for too long.
Not too hot, but low 90s. I'm not looking forward to that really either.
I don't think anyone is. Thanks, Lindsay. Coming up, trust in government hangs in the balance as jobs data and vaccine decisions spark some controversy. From rising costs to declining demand, the California wine industry is facing its toughest season in years. Winemakers say oversupply and even wildfires are threatening the future of vineyards. Suzanne Fan shows us how growers are trying to adapt.
Right next to the winery, we have the Cabernet, and it's really the grape of the Napa Valley.
At Visa Tui Winery in St. Helena, this is Tom Davies' 46th harvest.
They're already really sweet.
The wine industry faces some big challenges right now. Alcohol consumption has hit a 90-year low according to recent studies. And the cost of wine has gone up.
Following the pandemic, a lot of people raised their tasting prices. The prices of wine have increased. I mean, it's expensive to make wine.
Experts say for various reasons, there's an oversupply of wine and grapes. Driving through Napa, Davey says you'll see more vineyards pulled out than usual. Stuart Spencer is with the Lodi Wine Commission. He says they're expecting another slow wine harvest season in the Lodi region and across the state.
Last year, there was probably an estimated 400,000 tons that went unharvested across California, and it could very well be that amount again this year.
In this photo taken in January in Lodi, you can see black patches. Those are grapes rotting on the vine because they weren't harvested, says Spencer.
The grapes being left unharvested is what really is painful to see.
At many vineyards, vines are laying on the ground. In the Lodi region, Stewart says 20%, about 20,000 acres of vines, have been removed over the past few years.
And you've got vineyards that weren't harvested last year that they're still sitting almost abandoned all across California. You have vineyards that are being bulldozed. They put them in big piles and push them over, and they're trying to figure out an alternative crop to plant.
Davies and others worry what the picket fire will do to the local wine crop. He's having his grapes tested.
It looks like maybe we dodged a bullet and we're probably okay.
The wine industry faces big challenges, but Davies says it's a chance to redefine the industry's future.
What new wines that we can make, what new experiences that we can have, and how can we appeal to new generations of wine drinkers so we can share this special place.
Well, the dollar broadly weakened on Friday amid signs of a slowing economy. A drop of 0.7% in the dollar index represents its lowest level in over a month. The index measures the U.S. dollar's strength against 6 major foreign currencies. The weakening comes after new government data showed job growth slowed to a crawl last month. The unemployment rate also rose to its highest level in nearly 4 years. The softer job data reinforced expectations that the Federal Reserve will cut interest rates later in the month. Fed rate cuts can lower Treasury yields, which could make the bonds less appealing for global investors. As a result, that could lead to less demand for dollars. The European Union has fined Google about $3.5 billion for breaking competition laws. Officials say the tech giant violated antitrust rules by using its size to control online display advertising, undercutting smaller competitors. Google plans to appeal, but has 2 months to tell regulators how it will comply. Friday, President Trump threatened a tariff investigation against the EU in response. It's the second legal blow to Google this week after a U.S. judge ordered the company to share search data with rivals. Elon Musk is already the richest man in the world, but he could one day be the first trillionaire. Tesla is considering a new pay package that would grant him more than 423 million additional shares of the company. At today's value, that's about $143 billion. But there's a catch. Musk only gets the shares if Tesla's stock value jumps significantly over the next few years. To cash in on the full package, Tesla's overall value would need to hit $8.5 trillion. That's a huge leap from its current $1.1 trillion market value. Up next, Sunday's National Beer Lovers Day. We'll show you the top brews and the non-alcoholic trend taking off. Well, raise your glass and say cheers. Today is National Beer Lovers Day. It's celebrated every year on September 7th, and it's a day for people to support local breweries, bars, or just kick back with a six-pack at home. So which beers are the most popular in America? That's Modelo Special, Michelob Ultra, and Bud Light. But the big news in the rising popularity of non-alcoholic beers, major brewers are putting more focus on these drinks as many consumers, especially younger ones, are ditching alcohol for health reasons. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. Coming up, Chicagoans are bracing for federal immigration agents, protesters, flyers, and local leaders urging residents to know their rights.
You're watching the 4 States Most Watched News.
Research often helps with decision making, but if a decision makers say they don't trust certain researchers or their findings, today that question is coming to a head for the Bureau of Labor Statistics and the Department of Health and Human Services. Amy Kiley reports on why.
I am saying we got to get to the truth.
This could be a key moment for trust in government. Today's monthly jobs report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics is the first since President Donald Trump fired the former BLS chief. He accuses her without evidence of worsening the previous jobs numbers for political reasons. Now it's still unclear if he'll accept future BLS reports if he doesn't like what they show.
Can you commit to saying the data will be credible?
The number, I don't know.
The commissioner's termination puts a spotlight on the Bureau's credibility. Whether it hurts or helps it is a matter of debate.
The idea that somebody might lose their job because of a bad number is a very, very poor way to manage the government.
I do believe that the data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics has deteriorated in quality and reliability over the decades.
Meanwhile, fallout continues after the Health and Human Services Secretary testified before a Senate committee yesterday. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. defends his moves to limit vaccine access and fire the CDC director.
We are the sickest country in the world. That's why we have to fire people at the CDC.
His sense that he knows better than the scientists, that he's a better doctor than the doctors. That is literally killing our people in real time.
I'm Mimi Kiley reporting.
Former President Joe Biden has decided to build his presidential library in his home state of Delaware. That's according to a senior member of the Joe and Jill Biden Foundation. The foundation recently approved a 13-member board of governance comprised of close allies and former administration officials. They are charged with steering the project. The team has yet to place a price tag on the library, but a source says it is expected to hit several $100 million. Fundraising could be difficult as some donors have expressed hesitation about giving money to the effort over frustration with Biden's handling of the end of his presidency. The exact location of the library has not yet been decided. Well, Chicago is preparing as a possible National Guard deployment looms in addition to the federal government beefing up immigration and customs enforcement activity in the city. Sherelle Hubbard has the latest on how residents from all walks of life are bracing.
How do you spell fascist? I-C-E!
Chicagoans are gearing up for the possible arrival of federal immigration agents. Dozens of anti-ICE protesters gathered outside a suburban Chicago detention center on Friday. The Broadview site is expected to be the main processing site for an upcoming immigration operation.
Yeah, and it's classic fascism, and we know that all we can do is not go quietly when this happens. They're hoping that neighbors just turn their back and feel like it's not their problem.
It could prove to be an eventful weekend for the city, as officials in Illinois say they hear National Guard troops will be deployed. It's prompted local leaders to put residents on high alert in the event that they are approached by federal agents.
Be smart and not fall into the traps.
Across town Friday, some teachers from the Chicago Teachers Union took learning out of the classroom and into the streets. They posted up in Black and Latino neighborhoods, handing out flyers that said, "Defend your rights."
We want to make sure that parents in every neighborhood in this city understand their rights. We want to make sure that our young people see us and understand that we are a safe space for them.
Residents across the Chicago area are digging in their heels, preparing to stand tall in the face of the Trump administration's efforts to deliver on campaign promises to deliver law and order.
How we show up in this moment truly matters. Let's remind them that in Chicago, we don't back down.
I'm Sherelle Hubbard reporting.
A little later, a 74-year-old man lost in the wilderness survives against the odds. How a community helped bring him home.
Temperatures are slowly warming up. We even have a bit of a warmer day tomorrow. We can go ahead and take a look at our tomorrow planner. Getting into the low 80s. We have increasing clouds throughout the morning and early afternoon, and then we even have some isolated showers possible there as well. And we have clouds already moving in tonight. Those are going to break apart by the morning, with our overnight forecast looking pretty good. Clouds break apart by about 4 a.m. We have clear skies to start our Monday morning, and then temperatures getting down as low as the mid to upper 50s. So it is still going to be another crisp, cool morning, but a little warmer than it was today. Now taking a look at the downtown Joplin from Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex. So far tonight looking pretty good. Again, we do have those clouds, but no rain expected tonight. As we head into Monday morning, again, those clouds start to break apart. We get a nice sunrise before more clouds roll in. Now, 8 a.m., southerly, southeasterly winds moving pretty slow. Start to see clouds moving into southeastern Kansas first ahead of the rain chances. Now, all the lighter green, that's not going to be touching the surface. So we're really watching the darker green and the yellow as it pushes in to our southeastern Kansas counties. Now this is mid-morning to late morning, getting into the early afternoon, starting to see some potential showers that actually reach the surface by about 2:30 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And we are just south of the 8 Center, could be getting some light, very light showers, maybe even just a drizzle, and then maybe up there in Mound City as well. Now, all of this is going to push in. None of the stuff out in the Missouri side is going to be making it to the surface by mid-afternoon. Might be getting a little shower there near Caney, but a lot of this, again, not making it to the surface. Could see a couple more isolated storms by late evening that just rotate in our northern counties before moving out. But I'm going to show you the rain tracker to show, again, a lot of this is not really making it to the surface. We're going to get some clouds, maybe some drizzle, especially, again, Iola, Chanute, Yates Center, maybe to Coffeyville, Fort Scott, and Nevada. But the rest of us not seeing much going on until maybe later in the week. Now, temperatures are going to continue to climb. Again, 81 on Monday, 83 on Tuesday, 86 on Wednesday. 86 is about average where we should be this time of year, but we don't stop there. 91 on Thursday, Friday, 92 on Saturday, and then we're going to be bouncing around in the upper 80s for the rest of the weekend and into next week. So this is what I'm talking about when I said the summertime, you know, or summer wasn't over yet, fall's not quite here yet.
Sure.
We had that one more second wind of summer, which is going to be this week. Pretty hot, pretty dry, and above average temperatures, but fall is coming pretty quickly. We're getting into, you know, September a little further, so we'll see those temperatures dropping soon.
We're looking forward to fall.
Yes, I definitely am. I've already decorated for fall.
Of course you have. Thanks, Lindsay. Still ahead, the first NFL Sunday of 2025 kicks off with plenty of great matchups. Plus, Pitt State Soccer takes on Missouri S&T in the Gorillas home opener. Ben McLeish has those stories and more up next.
PSU soccer opened its season with a win on the road on Thursday. Today, the Gorillas take on Missouri S&T in front of a home crowd. The Gorillas look to start the season 2-0, taking on the Miners. Pitt State takes an early one-goal lead, but looks to add more. Ryan Caruth streaking down the sideline into the goal box, but the keeper, Anastasia Barcom, snuffs it out and collects it for the save. Later in their half, Miners have the ball in Gorilla territory, but Haley Green with the slide tackle. That's all ball, and PSU regained possession. A few minutes later, Gorillas on the attack. Shayla Hunt collects it, passes it back to an open Caruth. Shot on goal is saved by Barcom. Final minutes of the first half. Hunt dribbles it around the defenders, chips it downfield looking to find Alyssa Hotz, but it gets, S&T gets there first and it's out of play as the Gorillas can't add on any more goals in the first half, and that would come back to bite them as the Miners score 3 unanswered goals in the final. 45. PSU drops the home opener 3-1. In Joplin, Missouri, Southern takes on Rockhurst in the Lions home opener, and MSSU comes away with the 2-1 win, its first of the season. Presley Whitmire scores the winning goal for the Lions in the 86th minute. Kansas City Chiefs may have kicked off their season on Friday, but today marks the first NFL Sunday on the 2025 season. And we have a special matchup to start off the afternoon. The Steelers take on the Jets at MetLife Stadium. Aaron Rodgers and Justin Fields swap places in the offseason. Now they face off in Week 1. Jets take the early field goal lead, but the Steelers are driving. Rodgers runs the play action and finds a wide-open Ben Skoranek. Races into the end zone for Rodgers' first touchdown as a Steeler. But Fields leads the Jets into Pittsburgh territory. He has a clean pocket and fires it down the field to Garrett Wilson, who dives into the end zone for Fields' first touchdown as a Jet. And New York retakes the lead. We head to the fourth quarter, and it's a shootout. Steelers trail 26-24 until Rodgers threads the needle to Calvin Austin for the touchdown. Pittsburgh leads by 5. Next drive, Jets have it 4th and goal. Fields fakes the handoff, and he can walk it into the end zone as the Jets retake the lead again. Their 2-point conversion is no good, though. Steelers trail by 1 and drive into Jets territory. Chris Boswell lines it up for the 60-yard field goal, and that would have been good from 70. Pittsburgh leads 34-32. Jets need to convert on 4th down to keep their drive alive. Fields escapes the pocket, finds Garrett Wilson, but Jalen Ramsey jars it loose. The Steelers take over on downs as Pittsburgh holds on for the 34-32 victory, and Aaron Rodgers gets some revenge on his former team. But let's take a look at some other scores around the league. And look away, Chiefs fans. Both the Raiders and Broncos won their matchups today, meaning Kansas City sits in last place in the NFC West after Week 1. Geno Smith throws for over 350 yards in his Raiders debut to lead Las Vegas past the Patriots in Foxborough. Bo Nix struggles in the first game of his sophomore season, throwing 2 picks. I'll tell you what, folks, the sophomore slump is a real thing, but Denver still able to muscle its way past the number 1 overall pick Cam Ward-led Titans. Most games today were relatively competitive, with the exception of one. The Indianapolis Colts blow out the Miami Dolphins 33-8. Daniel Jones, in his Indy debut, throws for over 270 yards and a touchdown. And the Colts just may be brewing something over in Indianapolis this season. Look out for them in the AFC South. In last year's AFC South champs, the Houston Texans fall to the Rams in the lowest scoring game of the day, 14-9, the final score in LA. All that's left is Sunday Night Football as the Baltimore Ravens take on the Buffalo Bills in a rematch of last year's AFC divisional round. 2 of the powerhouses in the AFC, 2 of the league's premier quarterbacks in Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. And of course, this one's living up to the hype. Baltimore leads 34-19 in the fourth quarter, but still most of that quarter left. Bills have possession, and this is far from over.
So, update on that score. Bills just scored a touchdown.
There we go.
Right now, I think it's sitting at 25 for the Bills. So, unfortunate news for the Chiefs. You know, we love our Chiefs and everything, but you know, what do they have to do? It's the Chiefs. You can't count them out. It's the first week of the season. What do they have to do to get back to, you know, they've got plenty of time. How do they continue to dominate like they have been?
I don't think Chiefs fans should be concerned about scoreboard watching in Week 1. It's just, you know, unfortunate to be the only team sitting that 0-1 column, but I think they'll be fine. They played a decent game on Friday. Patrick Mahomes did his thing. If he continues to do that, they'll be fine.
All right. Well, that's it for sports. We'll be right back. A 74-year-old man with Parkinson's disease is alive tonight after spending 3 days lost in Walnut Canyon in Arizona. His family and friends say his survival and rescue is nothing short of a miracle.
Those closest to Michael Johnson are calling his survival and ultimate rescue nothing short of a miracle. These are the moments after Arizona DPS Rangers found Johnson Saturday afternoon in Walnut Canyon, Navajo County.
There was tons of prayers that were said, and he is definitely a miracle, a modern day miracle.
An avid outdoorsman.
He does better outside than he does inside.
He went out for a ride in his side-by-side on Wednesday, August 27th, but never came home.
He's 74 years old, has had Parkinson's disease for 20 years. He had been off of his medication for 3 days and lost his glasses.
And look for any disturbances.
Family, friends, search crews from Navajo and surrounding counties, and dozens of Herbert Overgaard community members who didn't even know Johnson jumped into action, searching for 3 days.
Pretty incredible how the whole town just came together for one purpose.
Friends say Johnson survived by making fires at night and sheltering in his off-road vehicle, which hunters spotted Saturday. Authorities found him a mile north.
Laying in a field, and he was unresponsive. He would not have survived one more night out there.
Johnson was in critical condition. He's still recovering in the hospital.
He's doing good, but he has a long road ahead of him.
His family friend passing on a message from Johnson's wife.
Wants everyone to know how great the community up north was in Heber Overgaard, and how everyone pulled together. And she wants to give thanks to all those search and rescue teams and the sheriff's department up there that came together, and she wants to thank God.
Lillian Donahue, ABC 15, Arizona.
Up next, a final haunting chapter for the Conjuring franchise as Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga face their most terrifying case yet. The stars of the highest-grossing horror franchise in movie history are back for what's billed as their final film in the series. David Daniel has a preview.
When did this start?
Heather's confirmation.
7th of September.
There's something in the attic. Ed, there's an evil here. Something I've felt before.
Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga take one more turn as paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren in The Conjuring: Last Rites.
This thing in your house is a demon. It's the first one that we ever encountered.
If you've looked back on the cases that they've made into films, this really was the last one that was really well known.
I mean, you can throw all the haunted dolls and crooked men at the screen, but it's the love story, I think, that has made people stay.
Both Patrick and Vera were so just welcoming and helped make it a safe space to just feel free to try things and just not be afraid of falling flat on your face.
After all these years, it wasn't done with our family.
It was like a horror acting masterclass to watch the king and queen, do their stuff.
St. Michael, defend us. Be our safeguard against the devil.
Maybe we'll just come back for fan events when we're in our 70s. I don't know.
Yeah. we left it all on the screen.
Yeah.
We've been waiting so patiently for you.
In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
That's been our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.